There's two potential scenarios, Spencer. GC, I think if it's GC, there's only two riders who can win. It's either Primoz or Enric Mas. I'm going to probably make the same mistake as I did a few pages ago when, after I saw Enric Mas drop Primoz Roglic on the side slopes of Sierra Nevada. I picked Enric Mas to win the stage, and turns out that it was different then. But I'm still going to go with Enric Mas to honor my last day in Mallorca. Enric Mas is a local to this island, so he's originally from here. So Enric Mas for the win tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on Outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on Outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold Outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We are predicting stage 16 of the Vuelta a España, brutal mountain stage finishing atop Lagos de Covadonga. I will get Johan's take on how that's going to play out, who's going to win. But first, Johan, I want to pick your brain about stage 15. A little weird because it was yesterday. If we can remember all the way back then. But I would say massive upset. One of the biggest upsets I've seen in recent years in a Grand Tour. Pablo Castrillo just mugs Pavel Sivakov, Alexander Vlasov. I think they forgot he was there. They weren't paying attention to him, just pulled him to the base of the climb. Oops, heaviest guy in the breakaway, then explodes away, wins the stage on an absurdly steep slope. Back in the GC group, they actually didn't pull that much time back on him. If you go back and watch that stage, they really are not, like, they come into the climb like 2.5 minutes down, finish a little over a minute down. But Enric Mas finishes right in front of Primoz Roglic, who maybe didn't have the best day. Primoz Roglic still gets a 20-second time bonus for, you would say, in maybe potentially even boneheaded decision to
time
get
penalty,
a new bike.
Time penalty.
Yeah, time, the opposite of a the reverse bonus, the time penalty. Yeah. And because he's drafting behind his team car, getting back on after a voluntary bike change, I still don't understand that decision. But here's the big thing. So Richard Carapaz, distance. Mateusz Skelmo's a distance. Mikel Landa, David Gaudu, Ben O'Connor, all distance. All within 38 seconds of Enric Mas, though. Gaps are not big. And I do think that tells us something about what to expect in the third week. But did you see this stage win coming? It's Equipo Confirma's second stage win of this Vuelta. Their biggest stage win, their biggest win before this in the history of the team, I think, was the Tour of Alsace in 2021. Yeah. This is quite the Vuelta they're having.
No, it's amazing. And Castrillo, especially, even before the stage win, his first stage win he got, which was 4 days ago. It was the fourth time already in this Vuelta he was in a breakaway. So he's obviously on great form, amazing form. And that stage win, he was in the breakaway. But you had to be good to be in that breakaway. And he beat Marc Soler, and he beat the Swiss guy. What's his name?
Mauro
Schmidt. And a few really good riders. But yesterday was a different level. It was a breakaway, strong breakaway. But the two guys he was with at the end, and he was trying to hang on to, was Pavel Sivakov and Alexander Vlasov, two really high-level riders. Vlasov could be a top 5 contender in the Giro, in the Vuelta, and Castrillo was able to hang with them, then attack them. Then Vlasov came back and he attacked him again. This was, this was a different level than his first stage win. The first stage win, you could say, he took advantage of a moment of inattention. On that last climb, there was a flat piece, and then he kept it. You still had to be very strong to do that. But yesterday on that climb, I have to say I was impressed. I did not see that coming, and especially when Vlasov came back, I thought, Vlasov is just going to go by him. It's different speed. He comes from behind. But no. Castrillo fought for it, and 2 stage wins for that team. for Castrillo, who has been having an amazing season so far, very regular, but he hadn't won a professional race yet before this first stage win, which is incredible. And also, now I found out that already since a few months ago, he has signed for Ineos for the coming years, which is obviously an amazing upgrade for him from Kern Pharma.
Is it?
Respect.
Kern Pharma's won more Vuelta stages than Ineos this year.
They did. But, okay, Castrillo he's 23 years old. He is, except of the World Tour, he's the best Spanish rider who are not in the World Tour, for sure. Already the whole season. He's been very regular. And he deserves to be on a higher level. And even if Kern Pharma, the team, is going to be sad to see him go, I think it's also a tribute to them that one of their guys is able to make it to the bigger league. It's a team that's run very well and that does things really in a proper way. So amazing stage win for them. 2 wins. They would never have been dreaming about this before the Vuelta, and who knows? Maybe something else is in the makings. We don't know. But Castrillo is the man the revelation of this Tour of Spain for sure.
Yeah, after the first stage win, I was thinking, wow, that's incredible. Like he could be a domestique at Ineos. Whoa. Now you're thinking, well, first of all, we know he's going to be a lifelong domestique of Geraint Thomas. Geraint Thomas will be 50 years old, riding the Tour, and Pablo will be leading him out on the mountain train, unfortunately. But
no, I don't think so.
You think I stacked it up. So do you know where he would rank if let's pretend he's on Ineos in terms of professional wins this year? He would be their 3rd best rider in terms of that. In terms of UCI points, I believe he would be their 6th best rider, and you'd rank above like Filippo Ganna, Geraint Thomas. Like now I'm wondering, is this guy, should he go over as a domestique, or is he going to be one of their best riders? Like, is this Lascano 2.0? And he could like really, really be an elite rider for them. Obviously, like if he goes to the Tour and they have Carlos Rodriguez, they're going to want him to do work. But, let's think about Visma. Matteo Jorgensen goes from Movistar. Everyone thinks end of his career, going to be a lifelong domestique. We'll never see him again. Why isn't Pablo Castrillo? Like, why couldn't he be as good as Matteo Jorgensen? I mean, these are unbelievable performances that we're seeing from him. I just worry that he's going to get slotted in.
Yeah, it's a different kind of rider. He's nothing compared to Jorgensen. Jorgensen is more overall complete. Jorgensen can time trial. He can climb. He won Paris-Nice. He had an amazing season. Second in Dauphiné. Castrillo is, for the moment, not a GC rider, right? Can he become one? We don't know. I don't see him. I don't know him actually very well, but from what I've seen, his style of riding, I don't think he can turn into a good time trialist. Doesn't have the position or the style for that. He's a racer. He's a guy who goes in breakaways, is aggressive and attacks. So it's
not exactly compatible with the Ineos style. That's what worries me.
Well, I think at some point the Ineos will have to realize that they need to change their action plan. They can't keep pretending that they're a GC team when they have nobody who can win the GC. And I think it starts with signing riders that have a different style of racing. Castrillo is one of them. So, in that point of view, I think he may be a great addition for Ineos.
We're not supposed to talk about him, but he kind of reminds me of like a souped up Steve Cummings, just like can hit it, just like walk up to the plate. Haven't had a hit in a year. Let me hit a grand slam. Like the guy, like he can just hunt stages and has a nose for winning.
Cummings won stages. I don't know if you know all 3 too. He won a couple of Tour de France stages. So Castrillo is a rider like that. He could be one of those riders. Listen, he can win a mountain stage. We've seen that. So for sure, he can win other type of stages, medium mountain stages, probably with breakaways. But listen, great for him. I think he will have a great upgrade in his contract for sure. I hope that his agent did a good job by making a provision for performances during the 2024 season still. I'm pretty sure that will be in there. And even if it's not in there, I would assume that Ineos is going to honor the performances of Pablo Castrillo in this Vuelta and improve his contract.
I'd love to see him go to Movistar. I'm holding out for a late switch. But I mean, financially, that must be, you have to imagine he's getting a bit of a pay raise. What do you think Equipa Kern Pharma's budget is? Do you think it's 3 million euros?
I think it's probably between 4 and 5 million.
4 and 5. Yeah. So about a tenth of Ineos. So I'd imagine he's getting a big pay bump. And before we move on, I cannot comprehend this. If we were going into a 3K long climb that was about 13% average, and you were explaining to your son, how do you ride this the fastest way? You'd say, don't surge, don't try to move your upper body, just like steady power the whole time. He's sprinting at the bottom. And by the time he got to the top, I'm thinking maybe we should all start using our whole bodies to get up mountains. Like he's just throwing the bike around. Vlasov's back there trying to ride like you actually are supposed to ride and is losing ground on him. It was hard to comprehend what we were seeing.
He broke every single rule of physics and common sense. He's all over the bike. He rides with his heart. Is obviously on great form. That's the first thing, right? But yeah, I mean, it was not pretty. It was not pretty.
Yeah. An interesting thing, though, a UAE sports scientist told me, or I think maybe said in an interview, I forget which one. I don't know if this was on or off the record, but it was that, you're not supposed to stand up. Technically, it's like track cycling would tell you sitting down is more efficient. But when you stand up and move your body around, sometimes your arms are working so hard, they're flushing lactic acid out. And it almost looked like that's what he was doing yesterday. He was like flushing it out through his arms and then pushing with his legs. The GC, I would say I was a little surprised Enric Mas looked so good. I think I said in the last episode I was selling my Enric Mas stock. I might have to roll that back. I was just surprised how close everyone is. And, I don't know if we're going to see big gaps going forward from here.
You know what, Spencer? Sometimes you see that these extremely steep slopes do not produce extreme big gaps. I think tomorrow, for example, on Lagos de Covadonga, it's also steep, but it's more of it's a mythical climb. It's not the hardest climb anymore in the Vuelta since a lot of years. But it's on these climbs you actually get bigger gaps because at some point you have a guy who's feeling a bit better than the rest and can go down 2 or 3 gears and actually take advantage of that extra power. Whereas on slopes like this, 20%. You just go with whatever you have, right? With everything to the left and just try to get to the top. And it's everybody has one speed. I've always said that climbs of, between 8 and 10% produce bigger gaps than climbs with extremely steep ramps where everybody's just fighting to survive and get to the top.
Yeah, that could be. I do suspect, though, if we looked at the power files of these guys, like let's say Primož Roglič, Enric Mas, Škelmoza, Carapaz, Landa, we would have a hard time telling them apart, I think, at this race. I think they're all pushing about the same power. Mm-hmm. And there's not, we might be spoiled, Johan. Like what you just described as Tadej Pogačar being like, I'm bored at the Giro d'Italia. I'm going to pop it in the big ring and ride away from everyone. Like we might not be seeing out behind Pogačar and Vingegaard, everyone might be pretty equal. I mean, we'll find out in the next few days, but I'm curious to see. I'll list off the favorites from Unibet in Europe. I'll call it better prices when I see them on the US books, but this is for stage 16, race favorite, Primož Roglič plus 400, Enric Mas plus 1,000, Max Poole plus 1,100, Jay Vine plus 1,200, Eddie Dunbar plus 1,400, Mateusz Škelmoza plus 2,000, Pablo Castrillo plus 2,200, Felix Gall plus 2,200, Sepp Kuss plus 2,200, Adam Yates plus 2,200, Mike Woods plus 2,800. It goes on and on. Johan, how do you think this is going to play out, GC or breakaway, and who's going to win?
There's 2 potential scenarios, Spencer. GC, I think if it's GC, there's only 2 riders who can win. It's either Primož or Enric Mas. I'm going to probably make the same mistake as I did a few stages ago when, after I saw Enric Mas drop Primoz Roglic on the side slopes of Sierra Nevada. I picked Enric Mas to win the stage, and turns out that it was different then. But I'm still going to go with Enric Mas to honor my last day in Mallorca. Enric Mas is a local to this island, so he's originally from here. So Enric Mas for the win tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He looked really good on stage 15. He's looked good this whole time. The only thing I'll say about Enric Mas is he's clutching defeat from the jaws of victory. He'll look amazing. He's riding away from Primoz Roglic. Oh, what's his time gain? 0 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem like it's the same thing back on stage 9. It's like he's riding away. Oh, and then he's reeled in before the finish.
Yeah. Well, stage 9 was different because there was a downhill, right? I mean, on yesterday's stage, Enric Mas looked, honestly, I'm picking Enric Mas, although my common sense says that it's probably going to be Primoz who wins, but Enric Mas had a good day. I think Primoz didn't have a great day yesterday. But he was still able to reel back that time to Enric Mas, which is what makes him amazing, right? I mean, he lost terrain, and then at the finish line, out of the fog, all of a sudden they appeared together. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, I still think that Enric Mas is on great form. And I do think that a climb like Lagos de Covadonga is a climb that suits Enric Mas to perfection. So plus 1,000 on Unibet is a great price, I think, for Enric Mas.
I mean, I will say, if you're going to pick a GC rider that's not Primoz Roglic, pick Enric Mas, because he's the only one that can stay with him. Even on a bad day, Roglic is dropping the rest. One of my theories about yesterday's stage is it was just too hard. Like, Primoz is not as explosive on those days, and I don't fully understand why he was doing this, but he was like personally closing down Pavel Sivakov on the first climb of the day. They went so fast. They went something like 2.5 minutes faster than the breakaway on that first climb. That's not good for Roglic later in the day. When and then Soudal Quickstep smartly comes to the front, keeps it just taut the whole time. That's not as good for him. So I think tomorrow, if Red Bull, Bora, Hansgrohe has been paying attention, they'll try to make the race as easy as possible. And then Primoz Roglic, I think, would be the strongest rider on that final climb, plus 400. He won here. I think that was the last time they came here in 2021. He won on this climb. Attacked from very far out. I don't think that's going to happen this time, but I'm picking him at plus 400.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he won on Lagos de Covadonga already. Did he?
Yeah. 2021, okay. They came here. I think that was the last time they were here. It was one of the most impressive stages of his career, because if you remember, Egan Bernal attacked from the
he was with Bernal, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then he dropped him.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. So he knows the climb very well. I think it's a great climb for him. Logically, he is the favorite. I'm curious to see if he's going to do a bike change again tomorrow.
I was just going to ask you about that. I love the idea. In theory, I love it, because I think you are getting a big advantage with the SRAM gravel group set. You said you heard, what was the gearing? It was 44.
I think I've heard something was 44-40. But, if you translate that to normal gearing, that would still be bigger. I mean, normally, especially for climbs like yesterday, I have to think they have some kind of special setup, like custom-made setup for SRAM, because, with the new group set now, you have 46. It's 13 speed. On the new gravel group, so it's 46, and then it goes down straight away to from 46 to 40, for example, which is a big gap, to the so that's why I think that probably 2 chain rings and a normal cassette to probably 34 is better, because you have a smaller difference between the last sprockets, which is always interesting, if they don't go 3x3 or 4x4. I think 34 in the front and 34 in the back is smaller than what supposedly he was riding yesterday, 44-40. 34-34 is for sure a lighter gear. So why wouldn't he use that, right?
I don't know. He likes the one by.
Yeah, he does.
He's done this before. I mean, maybe on these irregular climbs, like tomorrow, there's little descents, and you don't want to be going big to little. That would be my guess. I personally, as you said, I'd rather have a small chain ring. I don't fully understand it, but it costs them time. I can't imagine. I mean, it's risky because when they did the bike change, George Hincapie already said this in the move, but like Movistar's on the front pushing hard, like. That's going to tax you to get back on. I guess that you sit behind your team car.
I remember. I should have talked about this with George and Lance. It would have been a funny story, but since I forgot, I'm going to say it here. Back in the days and during the Lance years, we had one of the rival teams was Once, right? And we had Bellocchi and Igor Gonzalez de Galdeano, who were the two leaders. And they love to do bike changes, not for the gears, but they loved to go with bikes with small wheels, like I think 26-inch wheels, front and back.
What weird.
And so I remember one particular stage where, we saw them do it because we already saw the bikes prepared on the roof, right? So they're not there for the show. They were going to change. Then they came back. And our team was Postal. And man, it was, when I saw them change, I said, just a tiny bit faster, guys. So the peloton was all lined up. It was extremely difficult for them to come back, and they made it to the group, but we just got over a climb. We had a downhill just before, what's it called? Axe-les-Trois-Domaines in the Pyrenees. And they never made it. They never made it back to the front. They started the climb probably like in 50th, 60th position. So it's risky. It's risky. You have to do it on the flat without a downhill. And in tomorrow's stage, it's possible to do it because it's 40 kilometers from the top of the second last climb to the bottom of the last climb. So there's plenty of time to do it. I don't mind him changing the bike. Just don't freaking draft behind your own team car and lose another 20 seconds,
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is made up. I swear I remember like Jan Ullrich dropping Lance on the Jouplan and then stopping to change bikes or something.
No.
Like killing all his momentum. That didn't happen?
No, he did drop Lance on the Jouplan, but didn't change a bike. No.
He had some sort of odd bike change where it's like, is this really, like if I could see Primoz being off the front and he's like, I got to get on the new bike.
Not in that stage for sure.
I'm gonna go watch 7 tours really quick, and then I'll let you know which one it was. But I forget where we are. We're talking about Primoz Roglic, Enric Mas. So is there anyone outside of there that you think could win the stage?
From
Perhaps
GC,
if it's not GC.
From GC, I don't think so. Unless if Mas and Roglic are not on a great day, then you could always say, okay, whatever, Skelmose or Carapaz may be there and get away on one of those last downhills. I don't think so. I think it's going to be decided before already. I think if we choose someone else, we need to go for a breakaway rider. Which is perfectly possible, I think, in tomorrow's stage with that kind of terrain. My choice for a breakaway rider to win the stage is going to be Jay Vine. Looks good. Did a lot of work in yesterday's stage for Sivakov. Is now in the KOM jersey on equal points with Wout van Aert, so he will want to go for that. So he knows he needs to go in the break. Van Aert will probably be in the break too, but on Lagos de Covadonga, if the breakaway takes enough time on Lagos de Covadonga, Vine will definitely outclimb Van Aert and could win the stage.
Yeah, I like it. Plus 1,200. I mean, the thing about Jay Vine, I'm looking to see if he's better anywhere else. Nope. That's the best price. is we know UAE is going to be up there, and we know they're going to have more than one rider. And like maybe they were a little too eager to do this. Yesterday, they're just like, hey, we're going to set pace for the whole time. Mm-hmm. Get in behind if you want a free ride. And that kind of bit them in the butt. But they're going to do the same thing. They're going to have multiple guys up there. Jay Vine can win on this. Like, he's been shockingly good on some of these summit finishes. I thought he was really, really good yesterday. Basically, he was on the front for a good portion of that breakaway. I like the Vine pick because you have to think who's going to be in the breakaway and who's going to win. And like Mike Woods, I would like to win on this finish, but I saw him miss the move in concerning fashion on stage 15, where, you know, it was the door was open. You could get through. Mark Soler went up, and then Woods appeared to be a little gassed. So I don't even know if he's going to be up in the move versus Jay Vine. Seems to be pretty good at getting in these moves at this Vuelta. I'm going to go someone else, though. Similar. Max Poole, plus 1,100. Already podiumed on a few stages here. He's not been great. Hasn't had great results the last 3 stages. But that could just be Max Poole saying, I'm only going to try when I think I can win a stage. And tomorrow is a stage that he can win if he can make it in the break. And I do think a breakaway has a good chance, because when you look at this profile, it's hilly to semi-mountainous until the first Cat 1 climb. And then it kind of settles into a more traditional mountain stage where it's like Cat 1 climb, descent, climb, summit finish. But you can build up some time in the first, let's say, 70K of this race if you're a breakaway. So I like Max Poole a lot.
Okay, and what's he at?
He's a plus 1,100, so similar to just right there with Jay Vine.
Yeah. I think those two are very equal. Yeah, I like that.
And yeah, I mean, all these people are pretty high up in the odds for a reason, because they've shown us over and over again that they are good at getting in the break and contesting the stage from the break. You usually don't get new people at this point. So I would go with who you've seen so far. So I'm going to go through a few head-to-heads from FanDuel. Johan, Primoz Roglic, minus 215, Enric Mas, plus 154.
I'm going to pick Enric Mas because I picked him to win, and he's positive odds.
I don't hate that.
And again, Primoz is Primoz, and when we may have been a bit disappointed yesterday, he didn't lose any time, and he took time on O'Connor. So end result all good, but he tends to be all of a sudden, then the day after, 2 days after, he's back to him. And remember when he took off there on that steep climb? I forgot the name, but I forgot the name now. But he looked amazing. So he may have another of those days tomorrow. But if they stay together, Primoz may do the majority of the work because he needs to gain time on O'Connor and not on Mas. So he may just drag him, and Enric Mas may take advantage of that at the end.
Yeah, it's exactly what we saw yesterday. If he's not on an amazing day, but he's still with Enric Mas ahead of Ben O'Connor, like he's just going to try to stay on the wheel. Because what does he care about? He doesn't need to stretch to finish in front of Enric Mas. Like he's already a minute 20 ahead of him, and he doesn't need any more time on Enric Mas. He needs time on someone else, Ben O'Connor. So yeah, Mas at 154. I mean, that would have paid out yesterday. So I like that a lot. Second one, Pavel Sivakov, minus 215, Alexander Vlasov, plus 154. These guys keep running into each other at this Vuelta.
I'm going to say Sivakov. I think he's riding for GC. Vlasov will probably be one of the guys who sets the tempo just before Lipowitz on the last climb. So Sivakov probably finishes in front of Vlasov tomorrow.
Yes. I mean, he has, right? We have to assume he is going for GC because that was a lot of work he did.
Yeah.
To stay out in front of the breakaway. So the next one is Mateusz Skelmoza, minus 215, Richard Carapaz, plus 154. Tough one.
Yeah. Skelmoza looks better and better.
Yeah, like shocking. I did not expect him to be this
Carapaz
good.
is sitting in fourth though for a reason. He's there for a reason. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Carapaz just because of he's a blue chip compared to Skelmozo, who's good, but sometimes all of a sudden he just has a weak moment. Carapaz is a safer bet.
Yeah, so Carapaz is fourth overall. Skelmozo is ninth.
Yeah.
So there's a reason, like on every rest day, I list out every stage where time has been won or lost, and then you do it in order of how much time was lost, and then you look at the last names on the list, and it's usually the same names. And in this case, it's Ben O'Connor. He's losing time on almost every stage to everyone else in the top five. But Carapaz, when you do that exercise, he's doing better at this Vuelta than I thought he was. So I like that at plus 154. David Gaudu, minus 126. Ben O'Connor, minus 108.
Where were they yesterday?
They were really close. Gaudu was 10th, O'Connor 11th, 5 seconds apart. And O'Connor his problem is he just keeps surging, like he followed Roglic, but he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah. I think Gaudu. Gaudu is O'Connor's going to keep losing time. Gaudu also, but I think Gaudu is finishing in front of O'Connor tomorrow.
I mean, Gaudu also no stress whatsoever at this race.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a French race. He's riding really well. Looks stronger and stronger. Last one. This is a bit random. I don't even know why this is on here. Guillaume Martin. Did you know he was in this race? Minus 126.
I know he's in the race because I've seen him getting dropped on from the breakaway from the last guy in the peloton, and then being on the yo-yo all the time. That's why I know he's in the race. But who is he against?
Jack Haig, minus 108.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Haig had a really bad day on stage 15.
Yeah, he was. I know he was I think he was in the break, and all of a sudden had to sit up. Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah.
Guillaume Martin, I guess. He's always going.
It was pretty unprofessional, but did you see this quote after the tour where he said he's significantly disadvantaged because of his bike on climbs?
I saw that.
So, if he's complaining about his heavy bike, that's tough.
He said that the reason why he was not riding with a power meter was the weight of his bike.
He's not riding with a power meter?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that would be the first thing I might change there. But before I let you go, Johan, just one thing here. So the overall odds, these are just from FanDuel. They're similar everywhere. Roglic minus 420 to win an overall. It seems a little aggressive, actually. Enric Mas plus 900. Ben O'Connor plus 1,000. Are we sure Ben O'Connor is not going to win this race?
Yes.
We're sure.
Yes.
All right.
He's not going to win.
And then I guess this is why Primoz is minus 420, because then you start saying, well, who else wins? And there's actually not
we need an off day. We need an off day of Primoz for him not to win. If he has a bad day, that's the only way he can't win. He's not going to win is if he has a bad day.
It has to be a really bad day.
If he has, listen, Lagos de Covadonga, then Moncalvillo, very hard climb on stage 19, and stage 20 overall is an incredible hard stage. You know what? Primoz in the last week of a Grand Tour, he's up there. He keeps his level. He doesn't need to have great days. He just needs to have Primoz Roglic days, the normal level, and he wins.
One thing I've noticed in the modern cycling is the really good GC riders, the bad days are not as bad as they used to be. Yeah, people just used to explode. But even think like Tadej Pogačar at the Tour last year, but think of like Jonas Vingegaard at this Tour. He lost time, obviously, but he the wheels never really came off, with like completely disrupted preparation. And Primoz Roglic, maybe pre-2019, he would kind of be falling apart. Like 2019 Giro, he was kind of falling apart at the end of that Giro. But his bad days, he just like doesn't sparkle, but he actually limits his losses pretty well. So it is a tall order for to beat him for the overall, just because he has a cushion and he probably is going to take time in the time trial. So someone would really have to take a lot of time there.
Yeah, I agree. All
right, Johan. Well, we will be back tomorrow for stage 17, and we need a winner. We've had one winner in the last 7 days. We're really hoping one of these 4 guys can come through. But
it's been difficult to predict. It's been difficult to predict this Vuelta.
It's been the weirdest. It's been one of the weirdest stretches of stage winners.
We still have 5 chances.
It's true, and it should get more formulaic as we get closer to the finish. We should become a rhythm here. But we will talk tomorrow for stage 17.
Thanks, Spencer.
All right, bye.